Hi, welcome to my video on transverse axes and vertices of a hyperbola. Transverse axes of a hyperbola. Transverse axes, or the axis of intercept, is horizontal or vertical axes. In the equation x squared minus y squared equals 1, notice that the x squared is positive and the y squared has a negative. The positive is with the x squared, and the negative is with the y squared. The transverse axis is the horizontal or positive axis. In this equation, y squared minus x squared equals 4. The positive is with the y, and the negative is with the x. The transverse axis is the vertical or positive axis. So in a hyperbola, the positive square is the one that has the transverse axis. Complete the table. We have a hyperbola equation. We want to find the axis of intercept or the transverse axis. So which is going to be a vertical or a horizontal. So we have 4y squared minus 9x squared is 36. Notice that the y is positive. So the y is the vertical, so it has a vertical axis. So it's the transverse axis is the vertical axis, up and down. Notice in this one, the x squared is positive in front, the y squared is negative. The positive one with x, so the transverse axis is horizontal axis. And in number 3, we have negative x squared plus y squared. The positive is with the y and the negative with the x, so the transverse axis is the vertical axis. And number 4, we have a positive 49x squared and negative 4y squared. The negative is with the y, the positive is with the 49, so it's the transverse axis is the horizontal axis. So that's explaining the transverse axis where the parabola cuts through both. When I say parabola, I shouldn't say parabola, but a hyperbola cuts the axis twice. The vertices of a hyperbola, and this one we're looking at where the center is 0, 0. We look at in future videos on this unit, on hyperbola, we look at when the center is not 0, 0. The vertices are the intercepts which lie on the transverse axis. The intercepts. So notice here we have a positive x squared, a negative y squared. So the transverse axis is the horizontal. That means that we have x-intercepts. So the x-intercepts are plus minus a, so it's a comma 0 and negative a comma 0. So the vertices are a comma 0 and is vertex 1, vertex 2 is negative a comma 0. And in this one, we have the y squared is positive, the x squared is negative. We have y-intercepts, so that means we have a vertical transverse axis. So the vertical axis is transverse. We have y-intercepts, and the y-intercepts are 0, b, and 0, negative b. And so the vertices are the intercepts, so it's 0, b, and 0, negative b. So the vertices lie on the transverse axis and they're the intercepts, again, when the center is 0, 0. Complete the table. We have a hyperbola equation, which is, we have 4 of them here. Let's find the vertices. So the vertices, we have the transverse axis is the x-axis because the x is positive. This is a 1, and this is a 1. So that means that if you let the x-intercepts, so the transverse axis is the horizontal axis, and that means that the x-intercepts are x is 1, 0, and negative 1, 0. If x squared equals 1, x is plus or minus 1. That means vertex 1 is 1, comma 0, and vertex 2 is negative 1, comma 0. And we can either divide by 4 here, or notice we have, again, the x is negative, so we have no x-intercepts, so the y-intercepts. So we got a vertical axis, transverse axis. That means the y-intercepts are plus minus 2, so it's 0, 2, 0, negative 2. So when the center is 0, 0, because there's no brackets here, that means vertex 1 is 0, 2, and vertex 2 is 0, negative 2. Number 3, the equation is in the transformational form. Again, we have the positives with the x, the negatives with the y. Because the positive with the x, that means the transverse axis is horizontal. It's the horizontal axis. And we have x-intercepts plus minus 5. So that's 5, 0. And, sorry about that, negative 5, 0. So that's, make that the bracket there. And so that means vertex 1 is 5, comma 0, and vertex 2 is negative 5, 0, because it has x-intercepts. So when, again, the center is 0, 0, because we have no brackets. Number 4, again, the center is 0, 0, and the x is negative, so we have no x-intercepts, but we have y-intercepts. So the transverse axis is the vertical axis, and we have y-intercepts. The y-intercepts is a squared equals 3. A is plus or minus 3, and it's with the y, so it's 0, 3, and 0, negative 3. So vertex 1 is 0, 3, and vertex 2 is 0, negative 3. Again, remind the vertices are on the axis of intercept or the transverse axis, and that's the one with the positive square. So let's graph some using all this information. Now that we graph and state the center, asymptotes, and the vertices of each of these. So we have equation x squared over 4 minus y squared over 9 equals 1, transformational form. That means the center is, as you can see, no brackets, so it's x squared y squared, so the center is 0, 0. The asymptotes, what we have is, in this equation, this is a squared is 4, so a is plus or minus 2. B squared is 9, so b is plus or minus 3. So because the center is 0, 0, we have y equals plus or minus, and the asymptote is b over a, so that's 3 over 2x. Again, because the center is 0, 0, we have no numbers added onto the y or onto the x. And the vertices are the intercepts, so the vertices are the intercepts, and the intercepts, x is plus or minus 2, we have x-intercepts, so we have 2, 0, and negative 2, 0. So let's plot. We have a center of 0, 0. We have an asymptote of plus or minus 3 over 2x. So that means if you take the center 0, 0, and we go up 3, right 2, and we go up 3, left 2. We go down 3 from the center, right 2. Down 3 from the center, left, down. As I say, down 3, left 2. And that's the rectangle form by plotting the slope from the center. And so the asymptotes is right here going through the center. Center is 0, 0. And this asymptote y equals 3 over 2x. And this asymptote is another one. Notice the asymptotes are broken lines. This one's y equals negative 3 over 2x. This is positive going up to the right. This is negative going down to the left, or it goes up, down to the right, sorry. This is negative. Or you can go up, down to the right is negative, or up to the left is negative. And so the vertices are x's 2, 0. This is vertice 1. And vertice 2 is right here. So it has the axis of intercept is positive. The x is positive, so it's a horizontal. So go from the vertex towards the asymptotes. There's the vertex going towards the asymptote. Okay, let's do another one. Now we have y squared over 25 minus x squared over 16 equals 1. So again, the center is 0, 0, no brackets. And we have b squared is 25. So b is plus or minus 5. And a squared is 16. So a is plus or minus 4. Because the center is 0, 0, then the asymptote of y equals plus or minus b over a. So the b is 5, a is 4x. And the vertices are, because the center is 0, 0, the vertices are the intercepts. And this has y-intercepts with no x-intercepts. So the vertices are, that's a y, so it's a 0, 5, and 0, negative 5. So let's plot. The center is 0, 0. The asymptote is positive 5 over 4x. So from the center we go positive 5 over 4. We go up 5, left 4. We go down 5 from the center, right 4. Down 5 from the center, left 4. And again, this is the rectangle form by plotting the asymptotes. So the asymptote leaves and goes through the center and through the endpoints to the vertices of the rectangle. And this one, that's positive, so y equals 5 over 4x. And this is the negative one, goes to the corners of the rectangle. And this one is y equals negative 5 over 4x. And the vertices are 0, 5, right here. This is V1. And the other vertices right here, 0, negative 5, V2. So this is the axis of intercept because the y is positive. The axis of intercept, or the transverse axis, is the vertical axis. So it leaves here and goes out towards like this. Again, this is only a rough sketch. And it leaves here and goes out like this. And again, notice that the vertical axis is the axis of intercept, or the transverse axis. And the vertices always lie on the transverse axis. Now, number 3, we have it switched around a bit. So let's look at x squared minus y squared over 36 equals 1. I like to have it with the positive at the beginning and the negative after. And this is over 1. So that means that a squared is 1, a is plus or minus 1, b squared, b is with the y, so b squared is 36, b is plus or minus 6, and so we have a center. Again, center is, notice that there's no brackets, is x squared and y squared, so the center is 0, 0. So the asymptote is plus or minus, b is 6 over 1x, so that's plus or minus 6x, and the vertices lie on the axis of intercept. The axis of intercept is the x-axis, so the vertices that have no y-intercepts, because the y is negative, so the x-intercepts is x squared equals 1, so it's 1, 0, negative 1, 0. So let's graph, and we call this one V1, this one V2. So the center is 0, 0. The asymptote is 6 over 1, or 6. So we rise 6, and we run 1 to the right 1. We rise 6 and go left 1. We go down 6. We go right 1. We go down 6. And we go left 1. If you think about it, the A is 1 and the B is 6. So the A is 1 and the B is 6. So that's the point of the rectangle right there. So there's 4 corners of the rectangle. There they are. So the asymptote goes through the center 0, 0 and goes through the corners. So let's see if we can. So this one is y equals 6x, that's the positive one, the negative one. Go here, so this one is y equals negative 6x. And the vertices are on the x-axis because the x is positive, so x is 1, 0 right here. And the other vertex is negative 1, 0 there, so this is the V1, this is the V2. So this is the x-intercept, so it leaves and goes out like this. The other side. Okay. So that's explaining the transverse axis and the vertices of an ellipse, which will be used again when we have the center is not 0, 0. And if you like my video, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video was of some help to you. Bye-bye.